of the tools that you can start learning to develop for mixed reality. There is a great selection of tools. One of the very popular one is Unity Engine. It has a great UI which allows you to drag and drop objects or assets and create your applications right at the UI level. But if you want to add more behavior to it, you can create some scripts with C# in Visual Studio and debug your application there as well. And we have an emulator for HoloLens that you can use directly from Visual Studio. Another great tool that we are supporting now is Unreal Engine, and it's a very popular tool among designers. And if you're developing for the web, we have multiple choice. Babylon.js is a great library which has amazing examples and a playground that you can start playing with. 3.js and A-Frame are two other very popular libraries that you can start playing today. You can choose from any of these tools to get started with mixed reality.
Hello everyone, hope you are enjoying these sessions until now. We will now have Robert with us from Mercedes-Benz. He will speak with us about their journey into augmented reality. Hello Robert.
Hi there.
How are you doing?
I'm fine. It's already getting a little bit dark in Germany. The rain just started, so winter is coming.
Yes, winter is coming. I will add you to the stream. So the presentation to the stream, I see that you are with the stream on your screen. So you should see the presentation.
Yeah, sure.
All right. And I will remove myself from and let you proceed. All right. Thanks.
Perfect. Yeah. All right. Then thank you everybody for joining my presentation here. Just like I said, I'm heading from Germany over to the stream from Stuttgart. I'm actually in one of our VR research labs, so a little bit of VR stuff in the background. And you will hear something now about our collaboration tool. We developed an augmented reality collaboration tool within our company. And that's what I want to present you today a little bit. And as you may have seen from the title, I'm part of this company who used to get these stars in front of their cars. So it's Mercedes-Benz I work for, and I work here as an augmented reality specialist. And since it is now 3 years, I'm the project lead for the augmented reality group collaboration tool we are developing, which is a tool that utilizes the HoloLens, but I will come to that just within the talk. I once joined the company originally for my PhD studies. So actually topic of augmented reality on collaboration is the topic which I do some research in. And because of the research, we really noticed that augmented reality is a tool we can use productively in collaboration scenarios. And this is why we already have a tool in place. We let engineers collaborate, and I will go through this while the talk. The idea came actually from a training I did. So I said I started as a PhD student in the area of augmented reality, but I soon got coached internally as an own coach. I made a training for an agile coach. And within this coaching, I really noticed that there's a lot of similarities you use some tools in coaching that you just can bring one-to-one to the 3D world, through augmented reality, to virtual reality. And that's actually the topic I'm dealing with in my everyday working life. I am part of the Van Evolution Center, and we are part of the Vans department here at Mercedes-Benz. And we are, on the one hand, a physical part of the building. I will just come to that within the slides. But we are also like a team doing all the visualization for Mercedes-Benz vans. You can see this on the bottom. We have some topics that are in the company for quite some while. What most people don't know, virtual reality in car development is a thing for almost 25 years. Like, we use virtual reality 25 years within processes to develop cars. Of course, it hasn't always been like this with the goggles. It was a little bit different, and you may have known these from your own work, or you have heard of them. The old, I always call it the old technology, or old technology that is still in place, are caves and power walls. So the cave is just the door next, the room next door. It's like a 4-wall, 5/5 wall cube you can go in. And this cube is projected with beamers. And you have a 3D goggle, you know them from the cinema. And they are tracked also via trackers. And you can go in this cube and you can look around, and you have experience similar to the HMDs, so the head-mounted displays. You can walk around, you can look around and have the same experience than you have now with the goggles. A power wall is a little bit different. A power wall is actually like a high-definition cinema with several projectors giving you really a high-end visualization. And we use this to show engineers, to show designers early prototypes really in a high-definition way. And this also quite for a long time. And within the slide, you can already see we are kind of a building within the building. You will see the building within the building on the next slide. But the idea was in the beginning to merge digital worlds and physical worlds. So our building is a little bit set up that on the top level, of course, management and the research department is located. So the ideas come from top. And on the bottom, we actually got the workshop, the prototype workshop. And the idea was to merge everything with the Van Evolution Center, to really take the digital parts and the physical parts, merge them, and have a hook up of the both processes. As I already said, a building within a building. So of course we are a visualization center. So our center has to be some extravagant way as well. So we have the silver building, which is what I'm just in, like in the first floor at the moment. And just like I already introduced, we have these different topics within our team, within our department. We do the high-end renderings, really, of first prototypes. We have the power wall for that. We have the cave to do some usability testing. We have virtual reality by HMDs for let's say, the modern stuff. We really can do everything with the HMDs. And of course, the newest topic kind of is augmented reality as an add-on for all. If we really go into some use cases, because I want to show you what we actually do in our everyday life as well, our use cases compared to the different devices. So maybe we start off with the cave, this cube you can go in. And we do use this for ergonomic tests. So you can go into the cave, you wear a goggle, you can sit on a chair. Actually, this is the one chair we always take into the case on my left here, which is then also tracked. And if you sit on this chair, you sit in the real car, like you feel like you sit in the real car because it's tracked and your goggle is tracked as well. So you're in place on the driver's seat, and you can do some usability tests. Can you actually grab some buttons, or can you actually see something? And the example here was it's like a screenshot, actually an old screenshot. So we can attach a hand to our controllers, and we can have this controller within the environment, and we see shadows that the interior light actually creates. So we really can evaluate design setups virtually that we would just be able to do in physical space, really in a late point of the development. And of course, this already saved us quite some money, because we really see failures quite early. A different setup, mainly done with the VR goggles, are fitting tests. Mainly, we just take CAD parts. We try to get them into the car by a controller, let's say, and we can see if we collide with other parts. Of course, for the service, this is very important. If we service a car, it must be possible to get out parts one by one. And we just test this out. So for the service part, to build everything out, but also for the plant, if we can actually montage everything in a line. But of course, augmented reality, mixed reality is a part for quite some time as well within our department. And The actual use case you see also a lot of fairs and a lot of advertisement is this overlaying of digital parts at physical cars. You see a screenshot there we used at the German car fair. We had an F-Style Sprinter, which is a fuel cell sprinter, and we used the HoloLens to visualize all the fuel cell components at the wheel car. So you could take on the HoloLens, you can go around this car and see where actually parts of the tanks, the motor, the batteries, where they are located. Within the engineering, we have a different system. We call it the measuring arm system. Of course, we cannot use mostly the HoloLens in engineering situations because the accuracy is not that high. So we use different systems there, which is like an arm, like a measuring arm you know from the measuring departments. We attach a camera to it. And by that, we actually have a 100% accurate position of the camera, of the view of the camera. And we can then, on a computer, overlay digital parts to this video. So it's like a video look-through system. And on the right, you see actually, on the right screenshot, you see actually what is coming out. It's like an overlay of a real video feed with virtual parts with really a high accuracy. We can really do like gap measurements here, fitting tests, and that's really used quite often within our development phases. But all scenarios I just showed you were actually scenarios where one person takes the camera, one person has on the HoloLens, one person is in the cave, is working. But what we actually notice is the working methodology has changed. It's not the picture that an engineer in its own room is developing car parts or fitting tests or even processes. It's more like a collaboration. Different people are involved. They have to communicate. They have to get ideas together. And of course, within our company, we would like to adapt to this new way of working. We want to make everything collaborative. We want to give people the chance to work together, even though they are not physical together. The idea here was even before Corona. Corona, of course, the COVID-19 situation made everything different because now everyone is separated from each other. We can't even like simply go to the shop, to the workshop and do things together. We have to take care there. And that's something we really want to adapt with our solution. And what we notice is, on the other hand, that not everything, also why Corona or why the COVID pandemic went worse. We just noticed that some things actually are better. So we really investigated which parts of our development phase are maybe even better at home, because engineers can take their focus time at home. They can really work on a topic without even getting asked once for a coffee or a coffee break, because you just focus in your home office at your PC. So if my boss tells me what to do at home office, maybe I'm even better when doing this. What really is an issue or problem is this collaborative work. If you need different ideas, different views to investigate and to come up with ideas together, we always call this collaborative work. And we definitely have use cases within the company, within the engineering phases, where this is an important part of our collaboration. The idea, of course, is very easy. You have people separated on PCs, located at one place, the others located on the other place, and you want to get them together in one room. You want to have them to collaborate. You want to have them to visualize. So visualization, we notice, is quite an important thing in the engineering phase, because ideas can be explained, but you have to visualize them to get an idea together. And normally use Post-its, use whiteboards, and this is kind of the idea. We want to communicate on the one hand, and we want to visualize on the other hand. And like I said, for the pandemic, it's the normal way of working. It's everyday life at the moment. We sit in front of the computer, try to collaborate together. The idea before was a little bit different. It was regarding geographic destinations. So we have a development team here located in Stuttgart and one another in America. Of course, to get them together, that's the question, is traveling. It's taking quite a lot of money, and this is actually the business case, of course, behind that. We want to save money by not letting, or not without the need of people to travel to destinations. If we do it in our everyday life, you know how it looks like. Actually, my PC is kind of this situation at the moment. Like I have my slides here, I have the video feed here, so your screen is quite packed up. Of course, you can go to your home office and like install several screens, but it's still that like everything is spread around these screens. You have the feed on the one hand, you have a Teams call, a Slack channel on the other hand, and you really get also disturbed by all these input there. And that's actually something we really notice, and you may notice it yourself when you're in a team meeting or everything else. People are doing things parallel, and this doesn't end up good, even in, or like especially in engineering phases where you have to very precision, you have to take care about the processes, about the decisions. It's not good to be on a different screen and doesn't following the actual communication. And we ask ourselves, what's the difference? And you see it, it's space. We don't have that much space in the screen, and we even have too many applications within the screen. So the idea was simple. Let's go from 2D to 3D. And we all know how this works. We use virtual reality, augmented reality. Let's compare it to what I just said. Within 3D space, we have a lot of more space. Like we can work on different walls. We can work on 3D space. And of course, we are not disturbed because virtual reality is in another world. Augmented reality is normally not on this laptop or next to the laptop, but within the room. So you're really focused to the whole process and to the whole room. And of course, for a car company dealing with 3D data, going from 2D to 3D is also a good idea. Our engineers have to deal with 3D data every day. So going from a 2D abstraction into a real 3D setup is straightforward, and of course can save us quite a lot of money. We thought around this use case, and we started off, like I said, before the pandemic, and we said, okay, what device should we use? Should we go with augmented reality, virtual reality? But as I said, our idea was first to get together development teams that are separated around the world. And normally it is like this, like before the pandemic, that actually 5 people of a development team were on place here in Stuttgart, and 5 people were off in America, for example. So there are people in one room talking to each other, and we could go with virtual reality to separate them, but that was not the idea we had. We really wanted to have the people on place together in one place so they can work together like they are used to. And just the people coming from outside, from a different location, join virtually into the meeting. So the idea to go with augmented reality was quite easy at this time. We said, okay, we can bring together people around the world, but we don't separate the people on location. And HoloLens, of course, is a wonderful device, and we all know it is awesome for what it can do, but it also has some flaws, of course. And that's actually a lot of feedback we get, that the device or the hardware really has to change there. Like, to give a little insight already about what we are handling with problems. I think hardware at the moment is really one of the big things that is missing in the industry, and that it should really like evolve to make the whole scenario, the use cases better, and that they work much easier. So let us sum up. We had an idea, we had a hardware device, and we knew how to do it. So we came up with ideas how it could look like in a solution. And these are sketches and also screenshots from our prototype that are almost 2 years ago. So that's actually when we just started, when we thought, okay, we have a process in the real world on the engineering side, and we have the technology on the other side, and also the hardware and software. So we developed some ideas how we can do these workshops you do in the engineering phases, if they are ideation or if they are problem-solving workshops, how we can transform them in a 3D world. And of course, on the one hand, it was quite easy because normally these workshops were held on place, but we thought a little bit more because we now have a new technology, so we can even think of new ways how the engineers could collaborate and work together. So here are some visualizations. We thought of a flow that people go within such a workshop, so they can really see the whole setup while they are still in the session, and some different methodologies that are quite or wouldn't work out in a real environment. On the bottom, you also see some of the tools we develop. We, of course, in a workshop, we need a timer, we need Post-its, like all these things. We just thought from a theoretical view how they could work and how they should work. So we then actually had the idea in place for the solution. So we started with the solution, and we just came up with another problem, which is actually a problem of a big company, because as a big company as Mercedes-Benz is, we cannot just develop a prototype and say, here, engineer, here's the software, just use it. And what I always like to compare the situation within the big company is this iceberg thing. Like, iceberg, just the tip of the iceberg is out of the water. And that's what you as a user maybe in the company see. You have a front end, you have a HoloLens, you take it on, you start an app, and you see the front end of the application, you can do things. But to be true, this is only 30% of the actual solution. The most of the solution is taking part under the water, like in the back end. And if someone of you already worked with a HoloLens, and also we started with HoloLens 1, you know that you need a lot of workarounds on the HoloLens to get some things working. So we had to really do a lot of things on the back end to come up with a solution that you can use on the front end. And that actually made things quite complicated, because to say it simple, we are not dumb. We looked around. What is there in the field? And of course, you may already know there's spatial, there's HoloMeeting, and they are ready to use solutions. Like, you can download them, they work out on your HoloLens. But within a big company, you can't just one-on-one use these softwares. And we really compared both. We evaluated both, and the problem were the Daimler guidelines. We have specific guidelines to communication protocols, to authentication processes. So there's quite a lot going on, or has to go on in an approved application, that actually just HoloMeeting and spatial weren't ready from the beginning. And of course, the other part is, like, if we have a front end that works, we need to connect it to other services, to Daimler services, to a PDM system, to data systems. And we really noticed quite early, this could be quite a problem. So we just said, okay, if the front end is 30%, that's 30% of work at the end. Let's start with 70%. Let's start with the back end. So we really didn't care about HoloLens in the beginning. We didn't care about all the front-end usability stuff. We thought, okay, we want to do a collaboration software. We want to hook it up to different systems. How can we do it? What's the solution there? How can we make it that it also scales, right? This is one important thing for a collaboration software, because sometimes there may be just one person, or at least two persons, collaborating with each other in the applications. And in other use case, maybe in a daily stand-up in the morning, there's a half of the company collaborating together. So all these steps were thought through, and we came up with first idea how we can actually use a back end to investigate if our front end also makes sense. It was also the other question, like we had an idea, we thought, okay, it could work, but will it actually work? So we really tried to do everything like in a little MVP. So we did a little back end there that was working. Then we tried to go with the front end to show the engineers what we can do. And you have to think, like, this is even 2-3 years ago, when augmented reality wasn't that favorite or famous within everyday consumer life. And we wanted to show people ideas, we want to get feedback, and that's how the whole idea actually evolved. And we'll now actually get to a productive phase. And as I know that, of course, there's also a lot of developers, a lot of startups, a lot of product engineers also within the session. Like, I would like to give some advices here, that you always, when you develop your own solution, and if you want to go to bigger companies and sell your product there, that you have this iceberg picture in your mind. That in the end, it may be, if you develop a solution, that if the company buys it and they develop their stuff around it, in the end, it will just be this 30% front end that you just have developed, and everything else is kind of custom. And this really makes the whole setup from your perspective has to be like in little steps. Not little steps is the wrong word. Maybe a little bit. It has to be customizable. You have to think of microservices. So you have one microservice for the authentication, you have one microservice for the actual communication, so that you hook up microservices that it's really interchangeable. That's the way how we actually do it also. We have this a microservice doing the authentication. We have a microservice doing the communication from the clients. We have another one for the storage. And this makes like our solution also very switchable. Like, we can switch out components. If the PDM system change, we can switch out this component. And this would be nice to have already been done within Spatial or HoloMeeting or other services, that we actually could just change out parts and change in our parts, and that we have a working solution in place without thinking even about the small steps like doing a front end. And also, I just want to give you like a little preview, which isn't like a preview, it's a back view, because this is still old, but this is at least something I can show you. And this actually was the prototype how it was at the beginning of this year. You may have say, okay, this is quite standard to other tools. Of course it is, because we had to focus on the backend part. And this actually is a screenshot from a real scenario. So we have by now done some pilots with different parts of the company. So we have engineers trying out the application. We have planners trying out the application. We had people from the IT trying out the application, even like from the health department, we had people trying out the solution, because we think that what we have developed there is just like a start. We have now an application in place where people can collaborate via the HoloLens about confidential data and work together. And with this starting phase, I believe that every department, every topic of its own will develop own use cases within this environment. And if you may think now, okay, that sounds like a platform. And if you've seen the infos from last month, you may see this sounds like the metaverse. And of course, this is kind of the idea behind the metaverse. You want to have a platform, like a new world where you can work together. But it doesn't have to be the space you're thinking about, the metaverse, that people can work together. I like to more think about a platform where you can hook up services, you can hook up use cases. We even did some investigation with the data science guys. So they just hooked up the data science API, and they could visualize some visualizations within the meeting and talk about it. And that's so simple with the platform underneath, just to hook up other services and to use it for different use cases. For the planning, for the planners, of course, a little bit different. They have to have their machines. They can install into the meeting, can arrange plans, can discuss that. The engineers, of course, want to have their 3D data. The ideation people, like from the development side, would like to more do workshops, like a scenario here, where they think about how could we solve the solution. And what we really noticed when testing out the application and all the testing with the pilots is maybe the power we give from the methodology isn't any different they are used to maybe from a PC or from a real scenario. What they really feel is the presence and working together. They say work makes fun again. Like, the Zoom fatigue, that if you spend a whole day in front of Teams or Zoom or whatever, you get lazy, because you sit the whole time, you watch the screen the whole time. Going into 3D space, meeting people, you really feel people next to you. You get an experience with people. That's actually the thing that mostly happens. Like these funny things that happen within a workshop. That are the things that make such a workshop show so lively and so good to experience. And that's actually what we focus on at the moment, to make these workshops even more real. Of course, the ideas there are easy. You have to think about avatars. You have to think about how you can really give a sense of presence. And this is what the focus is really at the moment, to really build this platform that people feel together again, experience, for example, workshops, experience situations together, that they can feel like they're in the office. And one also funny insight I always tell, or like two I would like to tell you, is one of our pilot teams that was separated naturally. One of the half is here in Stuttgart, and the other is in the north of Germany, in Bremen. And they actually never met each other before in person. They were always virtualized, connected. And they really said, like in the after interview of the testing phase, that they really had the feeling to be in one place for first of their actual working together. And that was something like, wow, if they said, then actually this tool must do something with the people, that they really like it and that they can collaborate within this space. And the other thing we tested out is a scenario where engineers used to have days where they met all together, like a little fair set up there, and actually one is presenting at the front like the updates to the parts they are developing, what they did to processes, and everyone is standing around and talking, first of all hearing to the presentation. But on location, when they're physical located, they always say the most of the things happening are not on the stage or like on the presentation. It's the people standing around. Like you by accident you stand next to Mark, let's say, and you said, "Oh, Mark, I had this question last time. I didn't ask you." So you really get into these situations by accident, and you get knowledge from that. And that's why they always used to do these workshops on location with everybody in one room. They tried it out with Teams, but with Teams, it's a totally different setup, right? Because you have this presentation going on. Of course, everybody is in the stream, but you can't like by accident walk into someone. You can't actually met someone that you just say, "Okay, I have a question." Of course, if you go through these to the chat list who's in the call, you can actually type or message him. But of course, nobody does it because the other scenario is by accident. And with the goggles, with the AR goggles, we can just do this in an AI environment. We can have a presentation going on in the front of the room, and by spatial sound, we can separate this from the people that are listening to the presentation, and they can walk to each other. They can just give the neighbor a hug or a nudge and say, "I have a question." And these are the situations where we really see this benefit: communication, feeling in the same room, and doing things together. That's actually the whole story there. And this already was kind of the finish for my presentation, to leave you with this bigger picture, what is possible and where we actually can go from a company perspective if we think about this metaverse. Because of course, metaverse is one of the buzzwords, and we all see on LinkedIn and on Twitter these funny stories. What is the metaverse? And you just sum up everything you know from VR, and this is actually metaverse, which is kind of true. But from a company perspective, I want to give you a perspective what we think of a platform, I would more say, of a solution where we can work in another space together and collaborate and make work on the one hand efficient, but especially more fun to work. Feel free also to just scan this QR code with your mobile phone. It's my link to LinkedIn. I would be happy to connect with all you on the other side there. If it's a developer, if it's a marketing guy, if it's anyone. I was always happy to exchange and to get your idea, what you think maybe this metaverse or solutions could be look like. I love this technology. I think within a couple of years, we are not the nerds talking about AR and VR here, like it's everyone out there wearing a VR or AR goggle at the end. And yeah, we are just the start there. Yeah. So thank you very much for listening to my call. And I think I would just look into the chat if we actually get some questions there, right?
Not yet. Thank you very much, Robert. It was really, really interesting. And as you told, this for now is some novelty, but our sons and grandsons, for them, this is trivial, and they are already using 3D environments to communicate with each other in Minecraft or in Fortnite. So you are preparing the next generation. Okay, you are preparing to have a company that could accommodate already those newcomers, right?
Yeah.
Because for them is not easy to use these 2D screens when they are used to already communicate with each other from a 3D world, right?
Yes. Yes, and I think especially we the companies have to develop it at the moment, because Microsoft, for example, just said the HoloLens 2 is an industry tool. They don't want to sell it to consumers. So actually consumers don't have the chance to experience this world or the use cases. Of course, they can buy an N-Wheel, but I don't know if any of my friends actually know that there's an N-Wheel augmented reality glass you can buy as a private person. So it's the company, the technology is within the companies, and the companies really have to try it out and to involve use cases that they just in the end will get in the hands of everyday consumers. If it's like an internal engineer or like in the after sales department, of course, there are also use cases where you can go to a Daimler shop and you can wear a HoloLens and you can do like investigations regarding the electronic parts of the EQS or something.
Yes, it's very interesting that companies like Mercedes or Daimler are investing already. It's not something that it will be in the future, but is in the present.
That's true.
You're already using the technology. Regarding the AR versus VR, why do you think the AR was the best choice? Because nowadays the headsets for AR are much expensive.
Yeah.
It's expensive than the VR. Why VR was not the solution?
Yeah. Like on the one hand, like I mentioned, we had this use case that we wanted to connect the teams that are maybe already within one physical place, but with teams that are in a different place to not artificially separate them. But the big other part was like actually the setups you see in the back are quite used often with the management. Like in early engineering phase, the management team comes to us, tries on a goggle and experience the latest prototypes, at least in VR, but like in the 3D space. And management doesn't like VR goggles, to say it simple, because like they wear on the HoloLens, or the VR goggle, and they're separated from their surrounding. So maybe they say, okay, I don't like the buttons arrangement here. But as they say it, they actually want to see the reactions of the other people around. They are really are used to read in the faces if someone else is thinking the same way or not. And that's really what you lose in VR. With AR, you don't have this at all. Because you still can look to the people, you can still see them. So like the people within our company, when we do the studies, we really notice that AR is a lower step to get into the 3D space. VR is always a separation from the real world. Everything is artificial. It doesn't feel natural. That's a big part why augmented reality is more used by the users here. Yeah.
No, very good. I have a couple of questions here. One of them is if you had to do a return on investment on the tool before developing. Another one is how many headsets are in use today and what integrations are available, example Slack or some other type of integrations.
Yeah. So regarding maybe first the integration of other tools, that's like a hard question because we have a lot of prototypes going on where we just have one hookup to a system where we just use maybe the data lake information for the data management, like what is it called, the data analytics department. We our own have done a screen share, which is we know already is the most powerful tool. So just like I'm sharing my screen here, we have a screen share within the meeting. But the on top thing there is we can do screenshots of the screen sharing in the meeting. And by this, we can get every information, if it is 2D, into the meeting. Like we just share our screen, like my slides, and I would make a screenshot in the meeting, and we can enrich the whole room with information. And as engineers don't want to hook up or like engineers are used to systems that are very easy. We could hook up a system and we could tell the engineer, okay, you have to click here, 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 and then you push a button, and then you have connected the application to the backend system. But what is more easy for the engineer is just to choose a screen share and to share the screen into the meeting. What really you always have to take care about is, of course, the AR world. In the end, if we sum up everything, it's just 10%, 20% of an engineer's day. Like an engineer will use the meeting maybe in the morning to do the daily stand-up, and in the evening to do stand out or like a checkout. And in the middle, you have some meetings with other colleagues. But the rest of the actual things are done on the PC in the old environment because they are tools that work perfectly. Like an engineer would never go through an AR goggle to engineer some parts. So the difficulty is always to get this the information out of the virtual meeting back to the actual everyday life scenario to the people. And that's something we are really working on right now. How can we actually, if we have an ideation session and we work with Post-it on the whiteboard, how can we actually bring these systems back into the PC system, let's say? Yeah.
All right. And how many headsets do you have already tested with the solution? So
was it the
the
headsets? I didn't. Assets or headsets?
How many devices do you have in use today with that application?
That's a good question. Yeah. we do this evaluation every time from within the year. So we have like this evaluation days where we just get all the devices on the market to one place to test it out. Actually, the last one was just, I think, 1.5 months ago, where we had the VR testing set up. So it was just like here, that we set up a room with different seats, always the same scene. So we there had the EQS scene, so you could sit into the EQS, the newest electric car. And then we see the same scene on different devices. And it was actually the last time around, I think it was 10 devices, 10 VR goggles. We compared 1-to-1. And what really blew my mind, and if you don't have tested it, definitely you should try out the Vario XR3. I was really blown away what this device can do, the resolution on this display. And also it's XR3, so it's in XR device, it has this video look through. And with the high definition visualization you can do on this device, it's a total new topic with this device, where you can really do like these XR things in a high resolution thing on a VR goggle. And actually, to be true, this really was totally crazy to see. And I definitely will invest in one of these goggles soon as well. In total, if I would sum up every goggle, like you can say, like, if you know a goggle we have tested out before, because this is something we really take care about, that we always make our experience for the engineers better. So of course we started off like this is an old HTC. There you see the Vive Pro. This is actually the main device used at the moment, the top device. But we have tested out quite a lot by now. With AR goggles, we are really with HoloLens at the moment. We also there have this testing days with other devices like the Magic Leap, for example, and also the Envy. We investigated on this as well. But again, here the integration into standard systems, like Mercedes-Benz has a lot of standard systems. The HoloLens was the most easiest way to go with an AR goggle. Even though if you think in later on with the app deployment on devices, like there's a device with the engineers, you have to deploy apps so they can use it. With Microsoft, you have some solutions in place, and that's why we mainly on the AR side are at the moment, at least, with Microsoft.
Yeah. Okay. And how many users are using the tool today? Is it a daily basis? Is it weekly? And how many?
Yeah. So for the pilot phases, which we had going on this year, we had 20 HoloLenses, which were already always going around the company. So it was mainly like little teams of 5 people, 20 persons at the same time. So maybe 4 teams testing out the application with these 20 HoloLenses. And these 20 HoloLenses, but change frequently. And our plan is to go really productive in a productive manner early next year. So that then every engineer at this working place, and this is actually already possible, you can order a HoloLens to your working place. You can order then the software, which is at the moment not in place, but you can order it then and then work just with the HoloLens at your working place or in home office from there. And we really hope that, of course, then the device number will rise every day and will go on until infinity.
That will be good. But for that, I have another answer here from a viewer, which is statistics. Do you have any type of statistics like a return on investment of that tool, or for instance, what will be the savings that you will have with these kind of tools?
Okay, that's of course a question I can't answer like from scratch, and also I don't know if I'm actually allowed to talk about numbers here. What I can say are 2 things we really like have our business case calculation made with, and this is on the one hand, like I already said, saving travel costs. So if you think of travel from Germany to USA, you have really high cost flight costs, you have the hotel costs, and if we can save 1 travel, we already get 1 HoloLens. So then you can like imagine what the idea is there. Of course, we don't say that we save 100% of our travels with this device or with future devices. It's more like we can save a percentage of travels. And if we can save 1 travel, you have the HoloLens purchase. So that's the thing there. And the other thing is the efficiency. So we have calculated, or we have done tests how faster or more efficient people can work with the HoloLens we have a percentage there. So we actually can say meetings should be, or would be, if we calculate up everything, should be shorter. People save time to collaborate. They are more efficient. And the other part, which we know, but we can't actually calculate, and I mentioned is the fun of using these devices. The happiness, the way you work together just makes more fun. You're more motivated. But of course, this is hard to get into numbers. But we really see that this is happening with the people. They like to use it. They always are happy when they can do a meeting with the Hollands and don't have to use Teams. So that's like a calculation we can't do, but we know that it actually exists.
Yes, because in the travel, you still have the traveling time multiplied by the hour that the person normally works. So
that's true. That's additional, the time of traveling also, yeah.
Yeah. So I think the return on investment is an easy thing to do in those kind of tools.
Yeah.
And one thing that I really liked, it was the way that you tested the existing solutions in the market, but realized that no solution would fit your needs, and you started developing your own solution. So this is kind of an advice for the companies that want to be on this field to understand first what the market or the big companies are doing, and then try to develop products that can fit on those needs, right?
Yeah, totally right. Like you can, like for other tools, we have saved a lot of money just using a tool that's on the market. And if it was well thought through, like you can really customize it. And that was really like the idea there. Like startups should do their solutions customizable, so that you really can exchange services and microservices quite easy. Because of course, if some people say we are crazy that we are developing our own solutions there, but someone already asked it regarding the APIs, regarding the connections to other systems. That's always something we have to do custom, right? Because we have our own systems, we have our own PDM systems, we have our own data systems, and these hooking up would be customized as well. And this was, of course, already thought through in the beginning, that in the end, if we want to connect, let's say, to existing solution, our PDM system, we have some problems there as well, because our PDM system uses files, the sort of file, and we can just import, let's say, GLB files. So this wouldn't work out. But if again, like the actual solution would be very customizable, then this would be a possibility too. And we really advise to look what is on the market. Also, if you see that your solution isn't ready for scratch, think about the parts you have to use. That's also something we did. We work together with other companies that build parts of our solution, because we don't want to build a whole collaboration thing. We used existing parts on the market, included into our system, which are then still customizable around it, and we can add little stacks of microservices there.
Yeah, really interesting. All right. So do you think to use this kind of technologies in other areas like VR in the stores to showcase some new products, or is this the only project that you are thinking about using the immersive technologies?
Yeah, we already have use cases within the shops where people can actually sit on a chair, get a VR goggle on, and experience a car, like customizing a car within the VR setup. Also, with the HoloLens, we in flex shop stores, we have setups where you can actually go around. I think it's an EQC, like the SUV electrified, and you can learn about the electronics there. So we have some teaching sessions. You as a customer can go around the car, can see where all the sensors are. So that's what we're actually doing within the shops already. And I think like this technology will really involve if customers, if end users get their hands on devices by their own. If let's say an Apple, let's say an Amazon or whoever, Facebook gets out AR goggles, I really believe this technology will explode, because like we as experts from our visualization team, we can always look from the technology side. We can say, okay, we have this device, we have this system, we have this solution, and we can just offer it to engineers. But when use case will really evolve is if the everyday engineer has a lens on and he thinks, okay, I can do this with the lens in my everyday life. Why don't has anybody built a solution where I can do this and that? And this is then when people will really get to us, and also when a customer stepping maybe into a store will have its own goggles and is then using Daimler services to get visualization, to get help. I think the future for especially augmented reality is very big, because I think augmented reality can really hit the masses. I don't think VR will hit the masses, because like we experience here, going into this artificial world is a step you have to do. It can be good. It's total fun, but people have to do it. With AR, it's easy. You just take on a glass. You are in the real environment. You just get additional information. I believe augmented reality, from my experience, will be a part of the future, and I believe it will also get rid of the telephone. Like we will step into a new phase of information area where now we still have to get our phone out to get information. If I now want to see what the time is, I just have to get my phone, look it up. If I want to see my next appointments, I have to take my phone up and look it up. But in the future, our goggles will tell us the information we need, because the goggle already knows the information we need, because it's time for the next meeting, for example. And this is the use case, I believe, that will smart glasses or AR glasses really, really popular, because they are a benefit then to the everyday work. And if you look at these Facebook presentations, you can see that Facebook is working on these ideas. They have this example where they have this room they track with external trackers, and they have the glasses. The people stepping into this house, this is example house, are wearing glasses, and they trained artificial intelligence there to detect situations. Like they say it in the video, if you look at the screen, you can actually turn on the TV. And this is a new way of interacting, and this is a new way of information receiving. And I think, I really believe in this future.
Yeah, I'm also with you. I think we are moving from a 2D world to a 3D world on the technology, and
Definitely,
bringing the device closer to the human, even closer.
Yeah.
All right. I think we are finishing with the time.
Cool.
I don't know if you want to make some final sentences.
I think it was a great experience here.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think for the audience also to see like what Mercedes is already doing, and it was really nice to hear it.
Yeah,
Right.
thank you very
Thanks
much
a lot.
also to you guys for organizing all the conference here, to having me as a guest. It was very fun, and I would definitely hook up now to the other sessions from the other colleagues. It's already totally interesting.
Yeah, thanks a lot for your participation also. See you soon. See you then. Thanks.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.